Another thing that's very bearish about Solana is there's no support here. So in this zone, this move on the way up was so fast, it could just be an equally fast move on the way down, just like what we saw last cycle. So that would not surprise me at all for Solana, just like ETH, just like Bitcoin, to repeat this move on the way down, this bear cycle. It's a bear market, don't you know? And I have a target on Solana of $35. If ETH and Bitcoin actually hit their targets, I bet that Solana goes down to like 20 bucks, maybe $20, something like that. That would be a big downside move out of Sol, but that would be a great buying opportunity. So you've got to start to think about, where do you want to be a buyer? And I certainly do not want to be a buyer all the way up here at $81 for Sol. I am short Sol. I would much rather start nibbling on the long side at 30 and then wait and see if I can pick up some Sol at 20, something like that. There seems like there could be some volume here at this $25 level, something like that. So I put in my buy zone on Sol down here between like $10, $11 and $25 or so. I'll start to buy some Sol down here, but not before. And I am short Sol. Let's take a look down the altcoin list. Here we go. Let's start off with TAO. Now, TAO put in a big bounce. TAO actually put in the best bounce of all the alts. Now, XRP put in a really great bounce too, but XRP gave it all back almost immediately. BitTensor TAO held on to it for a little bit longer, but is pulling back. And, you know, the level for TAO now is right here. You know, this tweezer bottom, this double bottom that formed on the 2 weeklies the last couple of weeks here in TAO at $143, that is the new level of support for TAO. Now, if that fails, and I expect it to fail, then I bet the next move, the next level of support, will be down here at 95. I am bearish TAO. I am short TAO. And, you know, this is the definition of a downtrend: lower highs and lower lows. Now we've got this downtrend here, very clear downtrend out of TAO. And the fact that it was unable to break out above resistance, it was unable to break out and instead is getting rejected, that's just another item in my, you know, bear quiver. So what I like to do here is gather as many data points as possible to either prove or disprove my thesis. And my thesis is that TAO moves first to 95 and then to 50. That's my thesis. Over the next couple of months, I think that we see TAO move first to 95, then to 50. And, you know, I see a downtrend. I see lower lows. I see rejection at resistance. And I see support below. So, you know, if Bitcoin, ETH, Sol really start to move lower, like I expect them to, there's no way the TAO is going to be able to push higher. So I would expect it to be down here at, call it $50 over the next couple of months this year. So I am short TAO. Let's take a look at SUI, SUI. And, you know, the thing about SUI is that it is a high FDV, low float protocol project. And, you know, it's inflationary. And there's a lot of tokens that are being unlocked every month. So, you know, I think that there's going to be a lot more selling pressure on the SUI, the SUI token. So that tells me that the level to watch is the weekly low from 2 weeks ago. So that comes in at 78 cents. So if or when 78 cents breaks on the downside, then I would expect a sharp move down to 36 cents out of SUI, out of SUI. And I would actually start to buy it down there at 36, 38 cents. Now, if we go ahead and measure that move, that would be, you know, a 60% move. And so what that tells me is, if you want to trade from the short side, you don't need any leverage. What do you need leverage for if you can potentially make 60% by just holding short, a short spot position? You don't need leverage. So that's what I see for SUI. But here's the thing, though. SUI is much more volatile than, you know, even TAO or Sol or ETH or especially Bitcoin. SUI is a super high volatility altcoin. What that means to me is that we would likely see an overshoot on the downside. So a move all the way down to 36 cents, doubt 36 cents would hold. So then it would enter like this region down here between 7 cents and 36 cents. So that actually does make a lot more sense to me, to see like real depression out of these alts, but not necessarily out of Bitcoin. That makes sense to me. So I am short SUI, and I will start closing my shorts down here at like 50 cents, but I'll really just close it all at like 35, 36 cents, and I'll start nibbling on the long side down there. Let's take a look at XRP. XRP, big bounce last week, but it's given it all back and then some. The level to watch for XRP is the weekly low from last week, $1.34. A break of $1.34, and we're moving back down to the 200-week moving average at $1.11. So that is the level right there to watch on the downside. And my expectation for XRP is that it ends up moving into this zone down here between 30 cents and 75 cents. And so I don't have this marked in green because I will never be a buyer of XRP this cycle. They need to actually build and ship something real first. But even then, it's just too much of a scam. So I can't buy it.